I've got a list of questions for you.
Let us pray. O God, in whom we live and move and have our being, be present to us this day as we remember the sacrifices of those who served and died in the cause of freedom. Grant that by remembering their sacrifice and learning from their example, we may be ever grateful for the freedom that is ours. By living in harmony and respect for each other, in a society built on peace and justice, may we always honor those whom we remember this day. Amen.
I want to recognize our state and our local, state, and federal legislators who are with us today. First Selectman Mary Glassman. Selectman Lisa Hebner, Nancy Hasse, Sean Askham, and Shannon Knoll. From the state legislature, we have John Hampton, and from the federal legislature, Nancy Esty. Elizabeth Esty. I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
Oh, dear.
I now call on our first selectman, Mary Glassman.
Thank you, Ray. Can you hear me? Thank you all for being here today to honor our veterans, those who have served our country, who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and those who are still, those men and women who are still in harm's way, so that we may enjoy the freedoms that we have here today. In the 21 years that I've been coming to Simsbury's parade as the first selectman, and actually I missed the parade 21 years ago because my son Sam was born today. So happy birthday, Sam. I think this is the biggest crowd we've ever had, so thank you all for being here. It's terrific. I think it sends a strong message of how this community feels about our veterans and how we honor and respect and take time out of our day to show how much our veterans mean to us. I first want to thank the VFW and the American Legion for a wonderful job putting on this parade. Let's have a big round of applause for our veterans. Thank you. And we welcome Commissioner Schwartz, who's here today. Welcome, Commissioner Schwartz. We're honored to have you here celebrating with us. As we leave here today, after the ceremonies, after we've said our prayers, our thoughts, let us think of how we can each take a moment to figure out how we can honor our veterans in a way that shows how much we appreciate our freedom. How we as a community can take time to make this a great community. Whether it's saying hello to a neighbor, helping out a friend, volunteering in your community, let us find our way, in our own special way, to honor those who've served and those who continue to serve. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Mary. Can everyone hear now? There are a significant number of people and organizations involved in executing today's Memorial Day observance, and I want to recognize them, and please hold your applause until they've all been mentioned. The principal organizers of today's events are the Veterans of Foreign Wars post-1926 and the American Legion post-84, Tom Alonis Hall post here in Simsbury. And they organized both parade, one in Darrowville this morning and the one here this afternoon. A lot of man hours went into it. The chairmen of this effort are Parade Chairman Bob Gauthier, Commander Bob Roberts of the American Legion, and Commander John Romano of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, both of whom are either in the color guard or in the service flags. To my right. Organizing the placement of flags on the graves of veterans, Dick Dart and Tom Cronin, with the help of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. The town of Simsbury provides many services, including paying some bills, making sure the street is clean, portable restrooms, protection and traffic control. Fitzgerald's supplied bottles of water for those participating in the parade. The First Church provided its parking lot, its restroom facilities, and the church's bus to transport veterans from the church's parking lot to the mustering points on Owensbrook Boulevard. And I'm told that the Reverend Jonathan Morgan is himself in command of the bus. The Masonic Lodge provided its building open for coffee, water, and restroom facilities. Appreciate the musicians of the Simsbury High School Band for participating, and the Simsbury Police Honor Guard. And Debbie Payne of the DAR arranged for the veterans who were riding to be placed in golf carts and taken to their automobiles on Somerset Road. And that's a huge undertaking, and she also arranged for, I think, husbands of DAR members to run the golf carts. The Valley Car Club and the other owners of vintage vehicles, we thank for providing those vehicles in which the riding veterans rode. We thank Nancy Fellinger, who will be playing her bagpipe shortly. We thank Sam Bitzer and Dylan Gibbs from the high school band, who will be playing taps a little later. But most of all, I want to thank the participating veterans. At last count, we had 60, if everybody showed up, and I think most of them did, we had 68 veterans riding and a couple of them driving cars. That's 17 more than we had last year. And the marching veterans, again, if everyone showed up, we had 87 marching veterans, including the color guard and the service flags, and that too would be 17 more than we had last year. It was a pretty good sized contingent coming down Route 10. I thank all the veterans for participating in the parade and for attending this day's ceremony. Those who have departed us would have appreciated your effort in honoring them. Now, please join me in thanking all of those who made today possible. Welcome to everyone to today's 2013 Memorial Day ceremony. Memorial Day is a day that was begun as Decoration Day after the Civil War in 1865. Today, observances honor the men and women serving in the United States Armed Forces in all wars. Since the Revolutionary War, Simsbury has had 106 residents who paid the ultimate price. To honor all servicemen and women lying in our cemeteries, 1,385 flags were placed on the graves of veterans last weekend. A number of locations have claimed to have had the first commemoration of this day, but Doylestown, Pennsylvania claims the first Memorial Day parade, and that was in 1867. The following year, in 1868, it was declared that Decoration Day be observed nationally and annually. May 30th, and more recently, the last Monday in May, is the day chosen for this observance. And it did so because it commemorated no battle, and it was the optimal date for flowers to be in bloom, as it was customary to place flowers on veterans' graves. The earliest record of a parade in Simsbury goes back to 1917. So 4 years from now, we will observe the 100th year since the first parade took place in this town. Our patriotic traditions are indeed well established. On Memorial Day, the flag of the United States is raised briskly to the uppermost part of the flagpole, lowered to half staff until noon, and then raised again to full staff for the rest of the day. That in fact happened to the flag here today, and it happened to the other town flags at other buildings around town. Many times in history, Simsbury's residents have responded to the call to military service. All those who responded paid a price. Families, too, paid a price. Today is a day to remember those who have fallen, those who have served, returned to this town, lived their lives, and were buried here, and to the families who were with them. Please also keep in mind and thought those who are representing our country around the world, and too many of them of whom have returned and are returning with serious injuries. Without their sacrifices, freedoms would be meaningless. It is a reminder to us all, especially our young people, freedom is not free. May this country never take that for granted. Each year since 1981, the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars have presented an award for citizenship to an individual or group making a significant contribution to the town's and veterans' causes. Our two organizations this year have chosen Debbie Payne, Regent of the Daughters of the American Revolution, Simsbury Chapter, and the State Historian for the DAR. Debbie, please join me at the podium. I read from her award. Simsbury Veterans 2013 Citizens Award and Community Service Award presented to Deborah E. Payne, who through her many years of dedicated service to the town of Simsbury in the state of Connecticut has enriched the lives of her fellow citizens. Signed by Bob Roberts, Commander of the American Legion, John Romano, Commander of the VFW. Congratulations.
It is such an honor to receive this wonderful award and to be part of this Memorial Day observance. And it's a great privilege to work with the Abigail Phelps chapter and Connecticut DAR to support veterans' causes. And it's always such a pleasure to work with the Simsbury VFW and the American Legion. Thank you so, so much for this, and God bless all our veterans.
We are honored today to have as our speaker Dr. Linda Schwartz. Dr. Schwartz is the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs for the state of Connecticut. She was appointed to that position in 2003. She has a master's degree in nursing from the Yale School of Nursing and a doctorate in public health from the Yale School of Medicine. She was a member of the United States Air Force from 1967 to 1986 and served as a flight nurse. She has a long history of involvement in nursing and veterans organizations and has devoted her nursing practice to the healings of war, both physical and mental. She holds the rank of colonel on the governor's military staff. Her awards, her participations on many boards and commissions, and her testimony before Congress are way too many to iterate here. But they fall into the categories of pursuing and advising on military facets of women in the military, mentally ill veterans, homeless veterans, the adjustment of combat veterans to civilian life after the military, and the struggle of Vietnam veterans with the after effects of the exposure to Agent Orange. In the 149 years of the Department of Veteran Affairs of the state of Connecticut, she is the first woman and only nurse to be the commissioner. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome Dr. Schwartz to the town of Simsbury Memorial Day observance. Dr. Schwartz.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to congratulate the town of Simsbury on a very marvelous Memorial Day parade and service. It is so like the town of Simsbury, and that's why it's always a real pleasure to be with you. Memorial Day is about keeping faith. Keeping faith with the men and women who gave their lives so that this nation would stand as a beacon of freedom and justice here and around the world. Memorial Day is also about giving thanks. Giving thanks for all of the men and women who have served in the armed forces and the sacrifices they made to win and sustain the freedoms we all enjoy. But most of all, Memorial Day is about remembrance. Remembrance of the real cost of war and human loss that comes with defending freedom and our nation. Recently, a reporter asked an Air Force general, who also happened to be a woman, what she thought about the fact that so many women were serving, coming home maimed and dead. Her answer so clearly exemplifies the legacy of what America's veterans have always stood for. She said, "Americans, men and women, will always protect the weak and the innocent. That is what Americans have always done." A very simple answer, but so true. America's military has, is, and always will protect the weak and the innocent from enslavement, man's inhumanity to mankind, natural calamities, and in service of peace. That is what makes us Americans. Like a rich tapestry woven with great care, the finest traditions of all that we Americans hold dear, their sacrifices, courage, and determination are a legacy which must be remembered, protected, and cherished as the treasures they are. For these gifts make us who we are. They are why we are America. And for those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and we who stood with them to defend liberty, we are a reminder that generations and generations from this town of Simsbury across the nation, we have been blessed with generations of young men and women who have always answered the call to serve the cause of peace and freedom here in America and around the world. However, keeping faith with their legacy requires more than words, a weekend, or a parade. We who are endowed by the gifts of freedom passed on to us by their service have a solemn responsibility. And I saw it very evident here today. I remember a time when I marched in parades with the Girl Scouts and my brothers with the Boy Scouts. Never did we think that one day our nation would be tapping us, asking us to serve. So this beginning of helping children to understand the meaning of Memorial Day really is a gift. Because just as my father passed to me and my hometown passed on, now we all have the task of passing to succeeding generations the ideals and the reality. The reality that duty, honor, country are not just words uttered in ceremonies or written on monuments. These words are an American tradition, written in the blood, sacrifice, and devotion to duty of the men and women who have served and are now serving this nation. On battlefields and engagements in places long forgotten or only noted in history books, Americans have struggled against great odds, primitive conditions, and the gut-wrenching terror of battle. We honor and remember them today. But we also have to remember the missing in action, who never came home, who have no flags or flowers to mark their final resting place. I would also add those who are lost at sea. We remember, too, the victims of the silent, lingering deaths due to toxic exposures, Agent Orange, and biochemical poisons. And let us not forget veterans, racked by the terror of post-traumatic stress, who never left the war, who see it in their dreams at night and in the shadows of a sunny day. And let us also be compassionate and remember those who were so disturbed by the war that they took their own lives. Let us also remember the hundreds of wounded and disabled men and women maimed in the line of duty. You may not believe this, but in one calendar year when we are not at war, approximately 20,000 service members are injured in the line of duty without being in combat. Their sacrifices are holy too, for they must live every day with the disfigurements and disabilities of their service, their broken dreams, and lost future. So you say, I've heard the question here twice, what do we do? What do we do to honor these veterans every single day of our lives? The challenge for us is to take these precious gifts, the gifts of life and the sacrifices, and keep it and nurture it and pass them on. It's as if our heroes say to us, my name is not really important, but we gave our most precious possession, our lives, our future, our opportunities. We stood not for ourselves. We stood for this country. We stood for you. If you falter or are troubled to raise your voice to injustice, remember, we died to protect your right to freedom of speech. And if you should see that integrity and truth have become the casualties of time, remember, we died to assure that the truth would keep our country free. And if you should see oppression and intolerance, remember, we died so that there would be liberty and justice for all. And should you be too tired to go to the polls to vote, remember, We died to ensure your rights to free elections. My friends, those are thoughts I hope you will keep in your heart all year long, because they are the gifts that they gave us. I would just like to share with you a note I received from a Gold Star family, which kind of sums it all up. Not just for Veterans Day or Memorial Day, but every day, we urge you to reach out and honor our fallen by showing respect to our flag, for which they have fought, respect to our memorials, and the show of gratitude to our precious veterans. When you visit our state's memorials, ask yourself today and every day, am I living my life in a way that deserves what these individuals did for me? Am I living my life in a way that deserves what these individuals gave to me? Hold this in your heart and take it with you. And just remember that for many of them, and many of them that we served with, we know it is a truth of life that they did not grow old, as we that are left grow old. And age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. And though we will see them no more, they continue to enrich and inspire our nation. For if you look closely, you will see them in the spirit of the dawn's early light and the beauty and grandeur of the twilight's last gleaming. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz, and incidentally, Dr. Schwartz marched with the veterans today. I want to remind veterans that Congress passed a bill several years ago which permits veterans to salute with or without any cover. So that will be appropriate coming up next, and with a couple of events right after that. At this time, I ask Tom Turisco and Lynn Lanza to place wreaths on the Veterans Memorial. Please observe a moment of silence as Nancy Fellinger pipes Amazing Grace.
Right shoulder, hard. Reset, hard.
Those veterans who are standing, hand salute. Commander of the Guard, salute the dead. Hand salute. Two.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.